guys, what is up? We are back at it, the MoYak Podcast. What's up, Josh, man? How you doing?
Hey, doing good, Jonathan. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm really liking the work you're doing on this video stuff that you've been putting up on the Facebook and the YouTube page, man. It looks really sweet, man. Doing a great job on that.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. Just trying to keep us up to date with things.
Yeah, man. We're slowly getting around, slowly getting it, going. It's gonna be great, man. I'm really excited about where we're at. Well, let's get into this episode. Let's take care of some announcements. Truman Lake, man, it's coming soon. I'm excited about it. We've got a lot of stuff going on at this event. It's our first live event. Giving away a kayak. Going to be at Everhart's. I was just there. If you guys have not been to Everhart's, definitely bring your pocketbook because they've got tons of stuff. Me and Sam Young went up there last Saturday, and it's awesome. Josh, have you been there?
Yes, and it's paradise. If you're an outdoorsman, they have everything there. It's like a little miniature Bass Pro kind of. I don't know. It's awesome. I wish we had a Everhart's closer to here in Joplin, Missouri, instead of having to go all the way up to Clinton. But yeah, Everhart's is awesome. I mean, whether it's guns, fishing, kayaking, outdoor gear, apparel, they have everything. Cooking, barbecue, just everything, man. Yeah, they're awesome. I love that place.
They do,
You,
and
you can't go in there without spending money. You just can't.
no, no, you leave with something like, oh man, I don't have any more of these. I gotta grab one. But the really cool thing I liked is you go to the back part of their store, and they've got tons of kayaks in there. I know New Canoes what they have right now. They used to have some bona fides. I don't know if they're carrying them anymore, but they have literally a whole rack of Yak Attack accessories. They've got the what is the other brand? It's like I think it's Yak Gear. They've
Yeah,
got a
the
ton.
gear. I mean, yeah, they've got all the accessories you'll need. And what's cool is we're going to be inside there for our tournament on Truman too. That whole back area, they're going to curtain it off for us, so we're going to have an air conditioned area to get out of the heat and come inside. And guys can hang out in the store and check out everything they got. So that's going to work out great for everyone.
Yeah, huge shout out to those guys, knocking it out of the park with their shop and helping us out, so much. We canceled the River Float weekend. I know that you talked about it, that we've got it tentative rescheduled. Do you have any idea when, or are you just kind of looking at it right now?
Still kind of looking at it. It's up in the air. Looking at July. I think July 18th possibly. I'm not. It's not. Nothing's locked in yet. This whole high water conditions have really just put a whammy on us this year. Just one after the other, and it's like, give us a freaking break already. So, I really hated to have to reschedule that, but we just had to. The water conditions were not safe. So hopefully within the next month or so, with things getting back to normal and hopefully we are going to get back to a full open, which I heard was like coming up pretty soon. So, looking at July, sometime in July, possibly August. We'll fit it in there somewhere, and as soon as I can find a date that's not going to conflict with anything else, we'll get that put out there so everybody can mark it on their calendars, because it is going to be a really fun time. Just everybody getting together for the fun of it, and hanging out on the water and floating. I mean, and cooking out and camping out. That's something we haven't had a chance to do yet as a group, so that would be something really special.
Yeah, it seems like every event where we're competing against each other, and it'll be a good time just get out there and hang out with the guys and get to know some of these guys. Man, well,
Hmm.
looking at June, we're halfway through the online. We've got some pretty good numbers on there. Maybe not as good as numbers as we had the last 2 months, but still, your top five are in the 90s. We got Mel Ash in fifth. He's got 95 and a quarter. I'm sitting in fourth right now with 92. Guys are hot on the trail. Again, Richie McMichael, 94 and a half inches. Guys just, putting up some big numbers in it again. We got Chris Robbs, 96 and a quarter. He actually has the best bass right now at 21 and three quarter, big old Mondo. And then, this guy, he has been all over it these last few months. Jared Fosno, 97 and a quarter. I asked Josh before the episode, and he wouldn't spill the beans. He wouldn't let me know. I said, Josh, is Jared catching these on Truman, or is he catching them somewhere else? He wouldn't tell me. So I may just have to go ask Jared for myself. But, man, that guy has been putting up some good numbers, and great guy, super guy. You're on mute right now.
Hey, can you hear me now? All right. So, yeah, Jared, man, he has been not only is a great guy, but he has been just consistently doing well in these online events every month. I mean, he's just right up there in the top every time since he started doing these. So, yeah, you got to look out for that guy. Could be an online Angler of the Year contender.
Yeah, man. He is. He's usually always at Everhart's when I'm in there. I usually stop in there. I usually talk to him, and always very helpful. You know, if you go in there and you're looking for something, you know, maybe they don't have it, you know, you can probably talk to him. Maybe he can order it for you. But he's very helpful every time I've been in there. Like you said, and I said, very, very nice guy.
Absolutely.
Well, man, let's get it into the tip of the week. You know, we picked the topic of polarized sunglasses. You know, we've talked a lot about you know, Solar Bat being one of our main sponsors this year. And I don't know if you know, some guys the guys that have them realize how much of maybe an advantage it gives you, or just clarity it gives you. But I mean, polarized sunglasses on the water are great.
Yeah, if you don't have a good set of polarized sunglasses, I would strongly recommend you get a pair because it's a game changer. I mean, it's a tool that you can add to your arsenal. It's going to make you a better angler. I mean, you just put them on and it changes, you know, the way the anti-glare works. You see different colors better. You're seeing in high definition. You're seeing the fish and the water better. You're seeing the structure under the water better. It does help you become a better angler. You know, not only does it protect your eyes, you know, from UV, but it also does help you see through the water. I mean, you take those off and then you put them on, there's a huge difference. And, you know, some guys that may not have that or have never tried it before may not know this. So the higher the polarization you can get on these glasses, I mean, the better. Like you mentioned with Solar Bat, they make several different kinds that have been designed by pro anglers. I wear the Guido Hibdon lenses, and I really like those. I can really see through the water really well with those. So they have a lot of options for those. But yeah, the point is polarized lenses really help you as an angler. So if you don't have a pair, you might want to consider getting some.
Yeah, definitely would help your fishing, or just you know, sports or driving or whatever you're doing. I mean, just being out in the sun, it definitely is a different type of lens that just helps you. You just try them out. I mean, if worst case scenario, you say I don't like them, and you go back to regular ones, but I think you'll like them. They're pretty good.
Yeah, and also to add to that, one last thing, if you're wearing prescription sunglasses, Solar Bat does provide a prescription polarized lens as well.
Nice, that's awesome. Well, man, I'm very excited about this episode. You know, I was fishing Table Rock the Thursday before the tournament, and I actually I ran into this guy, and he was, you know, doing some pre-fishing, doing some scouting, and I was like, man, what do you think about coming on the show? He's like, yeah, I think I can do it, you know, and so I'm very excited, you know, about this episode. Josh, you said you've been working on a little clip for our sponsors. We're gonna play that now, and then once we're done with that, we'll come back and get into our interview. Really, I'm excited about this one. I don't know about you, Josh.
Yeah, I am too. We're going to take just a quick minute here to give some love to our sponsors, and then we're going to go right into our interview. So don't go anywhere. This is going to be awesome.
Hey guys, well, this is the part of the show we've all been waiting for. We got a real special guest with us. Excited to have him on here. Excited to have him part of this podcast and our local club. Just to go over some accolades real quick. Mooresville, Indiana, is where he resides. He is second in the. He finished second last year in the Southeast Regional Championship. He is a qualifier for the 10. Huge, deal there. And then he
It
is the
is.
2019 still reigning because we haven't crowned a new one, the KBF national champion, Mr. Mike Elsea. Mike, thanks for being on here, man. How are you doing?
Hi guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me tonight.
The champ is in the house, man. Thanks for being here with us.
I appreciate it.
Well, man, let's get into it. I mean, tell us about yourself and I mean, tell us how you got into kayak fishing.
Ooh, wow, man. It's been a minute since I've told this story, but yeah. So I came out of the bass boat world. I think most people that have heard me speak before probably know that by now. But I used to fish in the FLW Tour, the Bassmaster Opens. Against some of the best guys in the world, and did all right at the time. Life got in the way and kind of had to step away from that. And during that time, a buddy of mine jumped in a kayak and was just, fishing small waters and stuff like that, and sending me all kinds of pictures and telling me how much fun it was and all that. So I'm like, well, I went like a year or so without fishing at all, and it was about to drive me crazy. So I was like, okay, I got to do something. So I went and went to a box store and just purchased a real pretty cheap intro level kayak. It was a sit-in kayak actually, and I figured that wasn't going to work very good at all. It didn't take me long to figure that out. That was pretty uncomfortable. However, I still caught a few fish, and yeah, it was fun. So just started looking around into it, and then at that time I kind of stumbled on or discovered just how big kayak bass fishing tournaments were, and I was blown away by it. Couldn't believe how big it was. And of course, it's grown since then, and it's going to continue to grow. And so, I decided, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to at least get into something that I can, fish out of, right? So I got hooked up with native watercraft, and that's what I fish out of now, and I absolutely love it. And so that's how I got started really, and then I just started small, started just kind of get my feet in the water in a sense, and started with state challenges, and that's how I qualified for the national championship, and the rest is history. Y'all know the rest.
Nice, man.
Besides KBF, do you fish a local club there in Indiana? Do you fish a local trail series?
Yeah, Indiana Kayak Anglers. I fished with them my first year, and I fished a couple events with them last year, and one so far this year. Just the way the schedule has played out, I haven't really been able to fish a lot with those guys, but it's a great group of guys. There's a lot of good anglers in that group, and Jason Young, he heads that up, and they really do a good job running their events up there.
That's cool. Yeah, it does kind of get to be a conflict sometimes when you're on the road fishing like these national series and these national trails, as far as trying to get back to fishing, some of these local events in your area. So sometimes there's not really time for it. I kind of get that. And it's sad because I wish we could fit it all in somehow. We just all fish them all, but you know how it is.
I agree, man. I wish, I'd like to fish every single thing I could, and then just unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to be in two places at once yet.
Well, speaking of that, what do you consider like your home water? I mean, what's your home lake?
Man, that's a tough question to answer because Indiana has a lot of small lakes, and I almost consider all of them my home water in a sense. Up in the northern half of the state, there's a lot of smaller lakes, smaller bodies of water. I guess if I had to pick one, I would say Niona Lake. It's 182 acres or something like that. It's not very big at all. My parents live on that lake currently, and it's a great lake to fish. I mean, it's got a lot of fish in it. It's got some really nice fish in it too. But yeah, just growing up fishing, bass clubs. I mean, it's like all those lakes up in the northern half of the state just seems to me like my old stomping grounds. So to narrow it down to one single lake is really hard to do.
Right on. I get that.
Talking about, before we got on here, we talked about how you finished third at Table Rock, and that's actually where I ran into you and talked to you for a little bit that day. We were pre-fishing.
Yeah.
What's it like for you to fish, Missouri lakes and Table Rock being such a well-known lake? Are there any lakes in Indiana that resemble Table Rock to you?
No, absolutely not. No, it kind of water like that at all. Table Rock is a very cool lake. It's I've only been on that lake 3 times in my whole life. The past 2 times were, like I said, I think the last time I was there was I want to say 2007 or something like that. I mean, it was a long, long time ago. Yeah, back in the bass boat days again. I used to fish the Fishers of Men tournament trail. It was a team trail, and they had I think it was a national championship there, or a regional champion, one of the two. It was either a regional or a national championship there. And of course, most of those tournaments are usually in the fall. So fishing this early in the year was an absolute first for me on that lake. Regardless, or needless, or I don't know, aside from the fact is what I meant to say, aside from the fact that it was, 20 feet high or whatever it was, 16
It was
feet.
ridiculous. That was some terrible conditions for Table Rock. It really was, man.
It was a whole different animal, I tell you. It was fun to fish though. I mean, I stumbled on an area second day of practice, and I was like, yep, if I don't find anything else, this is what I'm doing. And it panned out. It was cool. I was fishing over top of the campground.
I think a lot of us were fishing over a lot of picnic tables and roads, and
Yep.
it was. I don't think the lake's going to go down for the rest of the year too. They're talking like there's just nowhere for the water to go, so it's
Yeah,
conditions, conditions are rough.
Yeah, the other lakes were just, chock full all the way to the brim too. And so until they can do anything with those, yeah, Table Rock's not going to go anywhere either.
No, it's not. And excuse me. And you mentioned several times about the boat side of things. So I'm kind of curious as to you explained kind of why you made the switch and how that switch came about. So what do you prefer to do now? If money's no object, are you wanting to be on the boat side or you want to be on the kayak side of tournament fishing?
As the saying goes, once you go yak, you never go back. And I mean, I really stand behind that.
I agree.
The community behind in the kayak community is, it truly is awesome. I mean, everybody is out to help everybody. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have those few knuckleheads in there, but that's just the way it is anytime. But it's the camaraderie is, the absolute best. I mean, you know, Jonathan. I never met the guy. You never even seen the dude from Adam, and we ran into each other on the lake a few weeks ago. We sat there and talked for, I don't know, 35 minutes or so, man. And so it was just that doesn't happen
No.
on the boat side. It just
No.
doesn't. Everybody is like, it's the complete opposite of that. I'll just
Yeah, a lot of us, I think, are like-minded individuals. I think we all kind of have that kindred spirit of loving the outdoors, of loving nature, of loving the primitive kind of aspect of it. The feel of being on the water, on that kayak, one-on-one. That's kind of, I kind of think of it as like bow hunting. I don't know if you're a deer hunter or not, but there's a difference between rifle hunting and bow hunting, and I kind of feel that's the difference between boat tournaments and kayak tournaments. It's like bow hunting and rifle hunting. That's kind of how I see it.
You couldn't have explained that any better. I mean, that is hitting the nail exactly right on the head. Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing with hunting. Bow hunters are a different class of people, and kayak anglers are a different class of people. And not only is it the love of nature and all that God's created for us, it's also the love for each other too, and that's what sets it apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you see that everywhere you go. I mean, I travel all over the Midwest competing as well,
Yep.
and I see it everywhere, every state, every club, every tournament. It's the same. I love it too, man.
Yeah, it's cool. Definitely.
Hey Mike, so have you been fishing any of the BASS events this year? Have you fished them from a boat at all, either in previous years?
I fished the first kayak series for bass event that was in conjunction with the classic there on what was that lake now? That's how good I did. So I don't even remember the lake.
Yeah, we forget about those and move on to the next.
It was like the worst tournament I think I've ever had. I never even got a bite all day. It was so bad. But anyway, no, I haven't fished the Bassmaster Opens for several years now either. And I mean, I would like to fish those again, at some point, just because. But I would never replace that. I would never replace the kayak anglers, the kayak fishing with the boating side again, ever.
Did you sign up for any of the new Bass Nation kayak tournaments that's going on with Bassmaster this year?
I haven't yet. I mean, like I said, the first one there on whatever that mud hole was on the Coosa River that we fished, but
You didn't
uh,
miss anything.
no,
You,
It was
I wish.
Logan Martin.
Logan Martin. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I fished that one, but yeah, other than that, I haven't signed up for anything else. I'm going to, I believe, though. I want to fish the Chickamauga one, at
Lacrosse
least.
should be good too. Lacrosse is coming up
Lacrosse,
in
yeah,
August.
that's the other one. I need to check schedules, and 'cause everything's changing all the time with all this COVID crap. So I don't even know where I'm fishing next week for that matter.
So kind of going back a little bit about the national championship. A lot of we've got a lot of guys in MoYak that are watching this podcast. Are kind of starting out in tournaments for the first time. They're starting to see what this sport is all about. You were the last year's reigning champion. How did that change your life? I mean, just winning that one tournament and then moving forward with your fishing career. How did that really change your life?
Yeah, it was a big change, man. That it opened the door, for some more sponsorship opportunities as well. And I'm certainly going to credit that one to kind of setting me up to trying, being able to do this full time, which I'm trying to do now. And of course, timing couldn't be any worse with the with the COVID stuff going on. But I'm still going to try. At least for a year, see if I can do this full time and make it work. And if it don't, it don't. But at least I'll you know won't ever have that what if feeling if I don't go for it. But
All right. Well,
yeah,
you won a little bit of money to help out, last year.
well, I mean, yeah, it certainly helps. But I mean, yes, it helps a lot, of course. But you still got to be smart about it. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like I won $10 million. I mean, yes, I won a pretty significant, more than I've ever won before. So I'm extremely happy and blessed and humbled by all that. But it's not. At the same time, you still have to be smart about it. You just can't say, okay, walk into work the next day and say, oh, guess what? I won. I'm done. No, you can't do that. Can't do that. As much as I wanted to, but I just
When you win a national championship like that and you're on top, I mean, what's next? I mean, what do you think of? What motivates you to go to the next level, and what is the next level? I mean, angler of the year, winning the 10.
yeah,
What is it
yes.
what's your goal?
You just named them both, and man, I tell you, I would love to be the first guy to ever win back-to-back national championships, or maybe not necessarily back-to-back, but to win two. And if it just so happens to be back-to-back, that'd be awesome. But it's Gunnersville is an amazing fishery, and it's an extremely hard lake to win on because everybody fishes it, and everybody, I feel everybody knows that lake a lot more than I do. So but we'll see. It's gonna be a showdown in the fall, and I'm looking forward to it.
So, kind of going back to the national championship and winning that. A lot of the young anglers or guys just getting into the sport, they may look at it and say, you know what, that's the life that I want. But what is it really like? What are the highs and lows for you? What are the things that you look forward to, and like what are the things that you dread?
As far as like trying to do this full time, you mean?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely stressful. Yeah, you really gotta step up, your social media game and do everything that you possibly can to promote your sponsors and help them, because the more you help them, the more they're going to help you. Um, but and aside from that, it's still, this sport is still growing. Um, there's still a long way to go with funds and finances and things of that nature. And so I mean, it's not a money pit at this point, so it's not like you're just going to jump in there and just get rich kind of thing. That's not going to happen. That doesn't happen. And so I don't know, the things that I dread, I guess. I mean, that I don't know if I dread anything. It's just the notion that, man, I to earn a paycheck or whatever, I really got to be on my game, all the time, and that adds some stress to it. But
it turns into work. It really does
it
sometimes,
does.
and
But it just depends on how you harness it, and what you focus on. Um, you know, Everybody's got bills to pay and all that, and that's not what this is about, though. For me, obviously, it's about, for me personally, it's this is something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to fish for a living, regardless if it's out of a kayak or a boat or something. I've always wanted to try fishing for a living, and I've just been put in a position, blessed, um, to be in a position to at least try it. I've wrestled with this thing for quite a while, because I mean I left a decent paying job and all that, um, and so it's a little stressful from that standpoint. But you know, for me, it's more important to go for it and fail miserably than to hold back, lay up, and always wonder what if.
yeah, definitely.
yep,
So
agree
that's
100%, man. You got to go for it. If that's your dream, then you got to do it. And I think there's a lot of us that are chasing that dream now, and it's cool that the opportunity's there for us to do it. And I hope you can get there,
that's it.
man. You're
And
there.
for those young anglers that are just getting started and are dreaming, man, you got to go for your dreams. You got to chase them. And we only get so many sunrises on this planet. So you gotta seize it. You gotta take advantage of every moment, and don't take anything for granted. That's
That's
my advice to
that's
anybody.
great. Yeah, that's great advice. If you want to accomplish a goal, don't sit there and think about it. Go do it. You just got to get out
Yeah,
there and do it.
right.
So,
I mean, if you fail, but like I said, you at least you won't have that what if feeling, because that, to me, for me personally, that would just eat me up.
yeah, for sure. So up next on the KBF Trail Series is the trail event on Lake Conway in Arkansas. I understand you've already been down there doing some pre-fishing. I'm actually headed there tomorrow to start doing some pre-fishing. Pretty excited about this tournament. How are you feeling about this event? And you got a plan of attack for this lake going on?
Man, I just got here this morning. I drove all night, 9 hours to get here, and rolled in right before daylight. And I just took a shot in the dark to see if by chance my hotel room would be ready, and which it wasn't. So I I had to I just went ahead and went out on the lake for a little while this morning, and I didn't do any good at all. And then I came back in about midday, and my room was ready. So thankfully I went ahead and I got to take about a 3 hour nap, and then I went back out this evening for a while. And I found a few. So I feel a little bit better than I did this morning for one. But yeah, this lake could be really cool. It reminds me of Caddo. It's a smaller version of Caddo. There's
Whoa.
cypress trees. There's lily pads. I mean, it's a beautiful place. That's got that awesome, like tea colored water to it. I call that big fish water to me. So it just it's got a lot of potential. I think this lake is only 6,700 acres, but it fishes 5 times that because of all the cover. I mean, it fishes huge.
Oh, that's
So
good.
yeah, I think we're going to have a good turnout. I mean, I hope we do. And yeah, man, this thing could be pretty fun.
That's cool. It's exciting to hear, man. So what we did before we got on this podcast with you is we kind of threw out to our Facebook page just maybe some questions that our guys would want to ask or stuff like that. So the first question I got is, how do you keep a fish from jumping off the board?
Yeah,
Good
let's hear your
question.
expert advice.
Yeah. That stems from the second fish I caught in the national championship that jumped off my board before I got the picture taken. Now that's always been a little bit of a challenge. However, I've gotten a lot better at it. I always put my board in the floor of the kayak. I see some guys put it on their lap and try to take a picture, and man, I tell you, my hat's off to them because I cannot do that. Yeah, my seat sets up high, and I have a hard time, angling the camera over, to make sure I've got everything in the screen to take the picture. So I want to see what I'm doing. So I always have my board on the floor of the boat. I have it angled down just a little bit so that when you put that fish on the board, it's going to naturally slide down so that the nose is going to touch the fence. And then I also hang my Yak Attack leverage landing net over the side just in case that fish does decide to flop. At least there's a chance of him landing back in my net and I can grab a hold of him again. And that happened to me 3 days ago.
Oh, wow.
It did. It
That's good
did happen.
advice.
Yeah. So that's, I know some guys will like drape their legs on the outside of their kayak or whatever. If you can do that, fine. Just anything that you can do to kind of create a little wall or a little extra fence, if you will, to keep that fish down. Always wet your board too, by the way. You get out there in the hot sun and that thing starts to heat up. I always dip my board in the lake before I put that fish on it.
Well, there it is, folks. Sound advice. Next one I got is, how do you decide which fish finder is right for you? I know this might be a little more in depth, but what was it for you that whatever your fish finding you're using?
I use the Lowrance HDS 9. Or not the HDS 9. It's the Elite 9 Ti. It's more or less the same thing actually, but and it's been a good unit for me. Man, that's the thing about electronics is they're like obsolete every couple of years because of the technology that comes out all the time. I mean, there's some stuff out there now that is just blows my mind away. And now, granted, it's pretty pricey, but as far as deciding what is best for you, you just kind of have to go with what your strength style of fishing is. If you're a deep water offshore, type of fisherman, then you might want to invest a little more dollars into a unit that can, give you the kind of detail that you need to see what you're wanting to see. Side scan, down scan, the live scope thing, that's going on now with Garmin and Lowrance has live sight, I think it's what it's called. So yeah, I mean, technology is it's absolutely amazing what you can see nowadays. And I will be the first to admit, I am not the greatest on my electronics. I'll be the first to admit that I need to improve, and I want to improve, and at the same time, I want to save some pennies to get some of the latest and greatest stuff out there because it would absolutely change the way you fish.
Yeah,
At least it
definitely.
would.
Yeah, some of that new technology, like that Panoptics and that live scope and live imaging, man, that's
It's
amazing. It's like just watching underwater live. But you
it
know,
is.
as cool as that is, though, you really don't need that when you're starting out. In tournament fishing, you don't have to have $2,000 or $3,000 fish finder. When I first started out, I just had I think it was a Lowrance 3 Ti. It was a tiny little dude, and I kept
Yep.
moving up to a 5 and then a 7. Now I've got a 9. But, I think a lot of the companies are the same. It's the technology is a little bit different, but you're going to get the same data, the same information, whether you're with the Humminbird, Lowrance, whatever you want to use. But there's a lot of options out there. You can start at $100 fish finder and go all the way up to a $4,000 or $5,000 fish finder. So
Yep. You're
it
absolutely
just
right.
kind of depends on what you're looking for.
And hey, here's the funny thing: this afternoon when I went out, I didn't even bring it. I left it in the hotel room. Have it.
Sometimes in that shallow water, you don't even need it. It just gets in the
Nope.
way.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So yeah, I didn't. I may use it this week some, just depending on what part of the lake I'm on, just to kind of see if there's any sort of trench or drop of some kind. But yeah, I probably won't even be using it as a whole lot, or definitely won't be using it as much as I thought it would be.
So the last question we have, I guess there's some sort of backstory going on with this, but have you ever had Brian Hillman's breakfast burritos?
I don't even know what you're talking about. So
All right. That's a no. So he is not. Next time you come to Table Rock, come find us and we'll show you what's going on. But
all right.
all right, had to get that.
Well, Mike, man, thank you so much for being on here. Really appreciate it. Glad you decided to do this, and excited to have you on here. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, or say thanks to, or anything like that?
Oh, definitely, man. I absolutely would not be here without, all the supporters that I've got. Titan Tungsten, they're my title sponsor this year, and their products are just flat out awesome. I mean, they truly have the best tungsten out there. Yak Attack, their products, their motto is, make it your own, and that's exactly what they do. You can get any sort of type of accessory that you can think of, that you can even dream of, to put it on your kayak to make it fit you, and that's really important. That kayak fishing is all about being comfortable and getting things, tweaking things down, just for you. I think that's one of the more cool things about, fishing out of a kayak, is you can just, tinker around and get something set up just exactly for you and for your style. So Yak Attack definitely does a great job of allowing that to happen. Of course, I think Native Watercraft, they provide the boats that I fish out of, and they allow me to maneuver around pretty good and stand up all the time. I stand up most of the time when I'm fishing, and their stability on those kayaks are truly second to none. You can do a square dance on that Titan, and I tell you, it will not tip. It doesn't tip. Um, Fitzgerald Fishing, Sink or Swim Tackle. Josh Eichner up in New York, he makes some of the best jigs I've ever seen, and they catch fish all over the country. So if anybody's looking for some good jigs, man, this guy, he really knows what he's doing. And I know I'm missing some people, YOLO Tech, everybody that's on my team, they know who they are, and sometimes I fail to mention all of them at the time. But I definitely wouldn't be here without each and every one of them, and I'm so thankful for every single one of them. Thankful for my friends and family back home rooting me on and support me that way as well. So, and just for you guys and for other people who do podcasts and things like that, and then give some of us knuckleheads a chance to get out, get on and chat and expose some of the people that support us and things like that. It's just it's a cool thing, man. So I my hat's off to y'all.
Well, like I said, man, thank you so much for coming on here. Next time you are in Missouri, feel free to hit us up. We've got, MoYak, we've got our website there, and then we've also got a page on MoYak that, you're more than welcome to join. And next time you're in the area, if you want to go fishing with some of these guys, I'm sure they'd love that. It was a pleasure running into you that day and getting to talk to you. And like I said, thanks for being on here. I really do appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man, that was fun, and yeah, I definitely enjoyed talking with you there. But and by the way, that day when we departed there from that spot, I was on my way back across the lake,
yeah,
to put the boat on the trailer, and I took a little bit of a detour and went around that next little corner to that next little cove.
yeah,
and I don't even know if there's a name of that cove or whatnot, but it had some houses on it. It was pretty protected or whatever. I made 2 back-to-back casts. I caught a 19-inch smallmouth followed by a 20-and-a-quarter-inch largemouth on 2 back-to-back casts right there. It was crazy. I think the largemouth was post-spawn, but I don't know what that smallmouth was doing up in there, but it was weird.
That area we were fishing was like almost literally across from the dam, same kind of area Richie Locker is fishing, and I struggled that day. I think it was tough for everyone, but congrats to your third place finish, and you did a good job there, man.
Yeah, it was fun. I got on a deal with some schooling fish right there first thing in the morning. Some big smallmouth were busting shad, like literally up on the roads in the wound around in between the campsites. My third cast, I had a 17.5 incher. My very next cast, I had a 4-pounder just crush my bait. But he hit it so hard he jumped completely over the top of it.
Wow.
And that fish, if I would have hooked that fish and got it in, I would have won that tournament. But
man, what were you throwing? What were they hitting on?
I was throwing a walking bait to start with.
Top water.
And then top water stuff. And then, like in practice, they were mixed in smallmouth and spotted bass and largemouth, all mixed in there together. I caught 2 spotted bass on the same cast, during a practice day, and then during the tournament, because it was bright, it was sunny the day of the tournament, so that topwater bite didn't last very long at all for me because it just got really bright really quick. And then some bass boats, came in there. I know there was other tournaments and stuff going on, and they were winding themselves in and around that campground and everything with their trolling motors and so on. I think the pressure got to the fish a little bit, so I ended up backing out to the old bank line. And I was catching them on a jig in 20 to 25 foot of water. That's how I ended the day.
That's awesome.
I caught another 17 and change or something with 6 minutes to go, and cool. It made it interesting. Yeah, it made it really interesting. I thought I might have jumped into second or third or possibly the top, but no, it was a 1/4 inch separated the top 3.
Yeah, I knew it was close. Oh man. I just had one more question pop in here for you.
Yeah, sure.
What is your go-to bait? You've got a lot of it. You got a lot of experience on the boat side and the kayak side. You fished a lot of different lakes. Whenever you travel and you're going somewhere, what's something you're going to have tied on that you have total confidence in, that that you can probably catch some fish on it? Some guys from MoYak want to know what's your go-to bait?
I've always got a jig tied on. Always, no matter where I'm at, I've always got a jig tied on. I consider myself, or try to be as versatile as I can. I try to let the fish tell me what they're doing. So, I always have a jig tied on. I've always got some sort of Texas rig, whether it's a worm or a creature bait or something like that tied on. Most of the time I've got a spinner bait tied on as well. And then the rest of the stuff just kind of is, like I said, I let the fish tell me what they want. If they're hitting top water, yeah, of course I want to have top water tied on. If they're doing swim bait thing, then I'll try to catch them that way too. But if I had to choose one bait that I know that I've always got it tied on, I've always got it with me, whether I actually use it on that given day or not is, again, the fish, or the fish tell me what to do, or what they want.
Right.
I always 100% have a jig tied on, because I had the most confidence in that.
Well, there you have it. Question answered. Put on a jig. You don't know what to throw a jig.
Yeah, you just never know. I mean, it catches big fish too. That's the thing, So sometimes I'm only going for 5 bites, but if I get the 5 right ones, then there you go.
Yep, that's it, man.
Absolutely.
Well, Mike, thanks so much again for being on here. Hopefully you do well this weekend. Hopefully Conway goes well. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your results for the year, man, and I hope you have a great 2020.
All right, thank you guys, both of you. Appreciate it, man. Y'all take care now.
Yep.
All right,
Thanks for being on here, Mike. We'll see you soon.
All right, thanks.